panelists up here, but we're going to work hard to try to get it right. And at this time, we'll start. And item 1 is the beautification project, CSX, and I believe Pete is handling that. Is that correct, Pete?
Yes. Yes, sir, Mayor, Council. It is my privilege to be in front of you.
Yes.
First in-person meeting in quite a while. We have an exciting program that myself and Ms. Tanner Hope, our co-facilitator with our Monroe Youth Council, have been working on, gosh, probably about 4 years, better part of 4 years now, trying to get permissions to paint the underpasses right back here of the CSX Railroad.
Amen.
So we have entered into a partnership with the Union County Community Arts Council to help us make a design that is easy to maintain.
Can we, Captain Morton? Shot at me.
To create a design.
Oh, that's nice.
That is complementary to the city, that is easy to maintain should it get defaced. And so what you see are the two underpasses. The one on the top with the vines, that is closer, they're actually flip-flopped as they are on here, but the one on top is closer to the entrance to the Belt Tonawanda Park, the new entrance, and that's where we put the vines and the more organic theme on it. The second one is the underpass that's closest to us here, and that's more modern and strong. That's what we're modeled those two after. So our plan is to take these designs and use youth council volunteers, use community volunteers, and get out there, roll up our sleeves, and do the work. The first one we're going to do is this one. We're going to gauge and see how long it takes us to do it. We've had communications with North Carolina Department of Transportation and our streets department. They're going to help us block a portion, turn that into a one-way or one-lane access for about 4 hours each day, from probably 10 to 1 or so. So we have added protection for the folks painting that. So there's no.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
On your right side, what are you going to be painting that on? Because that's all dirt and shrubs.
We will only be painting on the concrete that's there. So our Parks and Rec folks have done a great job. They've already gone out there because there was overgrowth all the way down.
Right.
They've already gone there and cleared all that out for us and trimmed it out and cleaned out some of the where the underpass meets the grass and dirt. Just for reference, this is kind of what it looks like now. It's kind of crappy, for lack of a better term. You have graffiti, you have
It's a good term.
you have kind of painted over graffiti, and it's not a high pedestrian area, but it is a highly trafficked area for vehicles, and that's our gateway into our downtown. So this was actually an initiative that the mayor pushed when he was kind of more involved with the youth council, and it has been at least a 3 or 4 year process. We had to present our idea to CSX. We had to pay CSX for the privilege of painting the underpass for them. So we're bringing this to you basically as information to kind of show you what we're doing. So you don't come out there one day and say, what did somebody do? We have a local artist through the Arts Council who worked with us on the design and the color scheme. And again, it's designed to be simple. Should it get damaged, should it get defaced, that we could go back and paint over it with relative ease. All the funding for this comes from the Youth Council's budget. We've had some money from last year and some money this year that's going into it. So,
Pete,
yes,
when are you going to actually paint?
That's a really good question. We have to coordinate with our streets department because in order to have the road closure, we have to have our folks out there kind of directing traffic. So I have to work with Sarah to ensure that we have the staff that she has the staff available for us to do this. So we're hoping before school starts, either early August is what we'd love to do. Do it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully knock out one of the underpasses, and then kind of figure out where we go from there.
But I'd like to help to paint the green part.
You don't want to get on the cherry picker lift that we're going to get up top? And we had an initial meeting with Parks and Rec, police, fire. Everybody's going to chip in and help us do what we need to do. Honestly, this will be really neat. We won't paint the actual bridge over the top. That's a little too dangerous. So we're just sticking to everything that's concrete on the two sides. And then if you get into that other piece, then you start getting into a whole new thing with CSX touching their stuff. So again, we're just bringing this to you for information. No action is needed, and we'll keep you posted when we are planning to do it. So if you want to come out there and paint, clean paintbrushes, come on out, and we'll love to have you. Happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Glad to see it come to fruition. I know
Yes,
I've been
ma'am.
emailing you ever since I've
Absolutely.
been on council.
It's-
It's done, so.
It's
appreciate
been again, it started, the concept was about 5 years ago. 3.5 years ago, I had an intern, Anthony, I don't remember Anthony, he actually wrote up the proposal that we actually sent it to CSX and had to wait and wait and wait, and finally came to fruition. And then with COVID, that kind of put us behind again. But we're at that point where we're ready to rock and roll.
So excited.
That's great, Pete. That'll clean that up down there.
I have a question. Sorry for my tardiness, first of all. But are you open to any schools participating? I know Benton Heights Elementary School of the Arts had actually asked about doing something in the community.
Yeah. I would say yes and no.
Okay.
The concern, it's not a big area, and we've talked about it internally, honestly having too many people there.
Gotcha.
And having too young of kids there. Because we will have a cherry picker out there to kind of get the higher up stuff.
Sure.
And to me, we want to have 15 to 20 people there.
Right.
And if we start opening up to too many, I think we'll have at least 10 or so youth council kids there, and then kind of open it up to other county or city folks. I don't think we need younger kids there, and I don't
Right.
think we need a lot of people there.
Right.
If
No,
it was
I
out
mean-
in the field or on the side of a building, that's different.
Sure.
That road scares me.
And I mean representation from the school, not necessarily students, maybe some
Gotcha.
faculty or maybe a couple responsible students, but there was some concern or some questions asked about doing some type of beautification project within the city.
Yeah.
And I know this was kind of in the works, and so I didn't know if this was something that they could participate in or not.
Yeah, and we're going to piggyback off of this. So we've got the underpasses, but there's also some, like the Skyway Bridge, the concrete on the bridge. There's a lot of different little things that we're kind of exploring that other cities are doing to help, give a pop of color and give a little life into the community. So we'll definitely keep that in mind. If we can't wrangle up enough volunteers for this, or if we're having trouble, or if you have like one or two adult or older folks that you want to kind of point our way, we'd be happy to extend that invitation to them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Not, thank you, Pete. That looks
Thank you
great.
all.
That'll really make that area look good down there. Item 2, open conversational racism committee update. Ms. Luda, would you do that, please?
Open conversation on races committee update. We met on, what is it?
Police or fire radio?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We met on July 9th to consider the 2 proposals that we received to consult and facilitate the committee for DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we chose Dr. James Samuels. We looked at both pros and cons from the 2 proposals, and it was unanimous that we chose Dr. Samuels. He had more experience, some 25 years, had a rapport with most people on the DEI committee, having conducted the open conversation on racism, and he was also cheaper. So I make a motion that we approve Dr. James Samuels as the facilitator, consultant for the DEI committee.
I second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that
Okay.
7-0.
And I need to make a motion for the appropriation of $6,000 for a cost, but I will give you a breakdown. The proposed number of sections is a maximum of 5, and the proposed number of hours is 4 hours per session, and it's $1,200 per session, which is $6,000. The consultant will provide pre-session research, development, design, in-session facilitation and presentation materials, post-session written consultant report. Also offers the Insight Consultant Office as touchpoint meetings at no cost. In other words, if there are breakout committees and they want to meet and don't necessarily want to meet at City Hall, he offers that. Also, his assistant, who is a researcher, goes along with that at no cost. So I make a motion to approve the amount not to exceed $6,000 for his work as consultant facilitator for DEI committee.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes.
I now make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the contract and all necessary documents.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes.
Thank you.
I have a question though, Ms. Anthony. Are these going to be in person or virtual?
In person.
Okay, great. And when are they going to start?
Our first meeting was, is it August 18th? August 18th. And a letter will go out to those 22 constituents who serve on the DI committee,
Okay.
advising them of the date and place. It would actually be in the big conference room at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
On the
Now, is that open to the public as well, or is it just for the committee, or how's that set up?
Because the social distances, I will say no, because it'll be 25 people in there, and we have to
Gotcha.
observe social distancing.
Okay.
But by law, all meetings in North Carolina are open. Let's hope the public doesn't decide to come.
Okay.
Well, the committee can decide, since the social distancing requirements that the governor had in place have been eliminated, you can determine how many people can be in the room, subject to fire capacity of the room.
Yeah.
So we defer to the fire department on being able to tell you that.
And we defer that to the fire department.
I think that number's 48, by the way, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it could grow. If it did, that would be great. And if
Yeah.
it gets past 48,
Yeah.
we've talked about maybe going to the Armory or,
Yeah.
you know, some other place.
Yeah, and if they come, of course, they're welcome, but they would not have input.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else on 2, Ms. Anthony?
No, that's it.
Okay, we'll go to item 3, public input in-person council meeting. And Mr. Majid, we'll ask you to present that, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an issue that has come up since, again, welcome to the first in-person meeting since March of 2020 for the council. And what you've done during the time of virtual meetings, remote meetings, is you have had individuals able to submit written public comments for the public comment portion of the agenda, and then written public hearing submissions when there's been a public hearing. But we've asked council to please tell us what you would like to do now that you've returned to in-person meetings. So for example, tonight, all submissions will be done in person. For example, you will have people speaking for public comment, but no written public comment submissions. For public hearings on the rezonings, folks will be able to submit written submissions, but not on, for example, economic development hearings. They would have to basically come here and speak to you. So what we did as a staff is we asked council we provided 3 options to council before, or several options to council before, and we did not get a consensus from council. So what we recognized from our role as staff was that we needed to go back to what was done before the pandemic, since this would be an in-person meeting, and treat it the same way. But we would ask you to make the determination as to how you would like to facilitate any extra public comment if you wanted it. And when we asked this initially, we did not get a consensus from council, so we did not feel it was appropriate to put a solution out there. So what we said was, we'll just do this the way we would have if the pandemic had never happened. But now what we're offering up to you are 3 options. One, actually the third option is what you're doing today, which is no additional public comment other than in-person public comment and the written submissions that are permitted for rezonings. The other 2 options are you still have written comments available. In the first option, it's if a citizen wishes to appear at the meeting and be heard in person, they can only appear in person. They can't submit a written comment, except for a rezoning, which under state law, they get the right to submit a written comment. The second option would be a citizen could speak before council and submit a written public comment or written public hearing submission, and that gives them 2 bites of the apple. The original is they have to pick. In the first option, they have to pick. You can either come to the meeting and speak at the meeting or provide a written comment. You can't do both. Under the second option, if someone could speak before council and provide written comments and get really 2 bites of the apple. So those are really the 2 options other than the third option, which is you do things the way you did back in March of 2020 and before that, which is you only have public comment coming from people who come to the podium, except for those that get to submit written public comments for rezonings. So we wanted to ask council to make that decision to determine how it would like to conduct its meetings, because these are, after all, your meetings. And the comments that are received and the hearing submissions are for your benefit as you do your jobs in making decisions for the good of the city. So that's why you have 3 options. They're all provided in the staff report. I'm happy to discuss those further, answer your questions, and we hope to have some input from council for future meetings.
Do you have the submissions that were sent to you from the council?
There were a grand total of 4 submissions. 2 were for option 1, 2 were for option 2. But because we had then a tie, we had no consensus. And in the case of one we had 2 on option 2 that said, allow them to submit written comments and appear in public. On option 1, we had 1 submission that said they have to pick. Well, another submission we had said, well, they have to pick except for if they suddenly want to come before the council, then they have to withdraw their public comment. Now with that, that's a little harder to do because the goal is to get you the public written comments before the meeting. So we can't suddenly just take that back away from you. But what we had is we had 2 for option 1, 2 for option 2, with a modification on option 1. And because we did not hear from the other members, staff did not feel it was appropriate to make the call in that case.
Okay.
I sort of like option 2 because some people feel so passionate about a subject. They may feel the need to send a comment, or they may work and not know if they're going to be working at a particular time when the public comment section is for you to appear in public, and that way they know they've gotten their comment in. That's just my personal opinion.
I think I agree with what you said, but from what I understood Attorney Shakana say is that if somebody were to submit a written comment and decided to come, I was on the impression that they could come and speak and then the written would go away. But you're saying because they have to submit that earlier, we can't just forego that written comment because kind of like what Ms. Anthony is saying. Say if I wanted to comment in a meeting, but I'm not sure if I can attend, so I'm going to go ahead and do my written submission. But my schedule has changed and allowed me to come to a meeting, so I want to forego the written submission and I want to publicly speak. Is that not an option that we can work out if they decided to do that?
Councilmember McGee, the answer is no, and here's why.
Okay.
It's no because we intend to get you the written comments before the meeting. So if they make a decision at 6 o'clock that they can come to the meeting, we've already given that to you. So we can't take that comment away from you because you've already had it, you've already read it, you've already reviewed it. And that's why we're saying if they make the choice that they are going to come, if you do it under option 2, then they can do show up and submit a comment. But if you say option 1, pick one, but then you change your mind, well, it's hard for us to take back that written comment. It's impossible. It would be saying, we would then say, the clerk and I would say, if you have all your written comments for this evening that were emailed to you, please pull them out. We're going to tear out a page, and then you don't need to look at that. But if you already looked at it and read it and took it into account, it doesn't really work.
I go with option 2, and the reason I go with option 2 is I'm saying just because a written comment is submitted, they might have more information they want to add. So I think public comments should be open if they want to come up and speak.
One other point I wanted to make, thank you very much, Councilmember James. One other point is that the public comments that are submitted in writing would not be read into the record.
Correct.
That would, create an issue of, if you read every public comment and read them in at the meeting, it then is going to extend out your period of time. Now, again, we're happy to do what council feels is appropriate, but we do not believe it is necessary to read those into the record. We would do exactly what we've done the entire process of the remote meetings, is we'd attach it to the minutes, and they would be part of the record, and they would have been provided to you. And I know some people have said, how do I know council got it?
Correct.
The answer is because I've seen the clerk send every email to all of you, so there will be periods of time where we get a ton of emails that show that they've been sent to the council on that. But I just want to make it clear that we would not read in any written submissions into the record. The only people you would hear are those that would actually speak, and then you would have been given their written comments before, and we would suggest that it's 3 o'clock the day before so that it can be sent to you in accordance with whatever process you decide to go with.
Well, I want to make a motion that we select option 2 for public comment.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for option 2. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, option 2 will pass.
Thank you.
That would apply for the August meeting forward. It doesn't mean to change tonight because we did not make the change to the old policy. The public didn't have an opportunity to submit the written comments except for the ones that have done it on rezonings.
Okay. That includes our agenda. Does anyone else have anything? If not, we'll adjourn till 6 o'clock.
Mayor,
No,
I'll
it's
recess.
adjourned. Well, I mean,
got a question.
Yes, sir. All
but
right.
there's food.
Why in the world would we come in here at 4 o'clock for 15 minutes of work?
Well, I'll entertain the manager to answer that, but I'll try to answer that. Probably we didn't know how long it was gonna take, would be my answer. I don't know how good that is, but I'll entertain Larry to add to that if he'd like.
I think you said it will.
This could have took 5 minutes, could have took an hour, I guess, but that's basically.
Well, if it took an hour, we'd still be an hour hanging around here to the meetings. So I was just curious.
Okay. Anything else?
I know we had talked about, if we saw that the agenda was going to be shorter, that we make the adjustment to the start of the strategic planning meeting. So are we still looking to do that, or is it just going to be where we start at 4 and hope that we get out by 5:30, or we hope that the meeting lasts till 6 so it won't?
Well, I've seen a time when we looked like we wasn't gonna get through at 6 o'clock. We had 15 minutes a couple times, I recall. So,
But you
I
got,
don't know, I mean, you could, I guess use the word guess at it, that's all I know. Who you want to come up here and make the guess?
Well, we have, 3 items on the agenda tonight?
Do what?
We have 3 items on the agenda?
The only thing that I would suggest is, if we have like 1 item or 2 items, that we have to start at 4:30.
Yeah,
well, it's not only us. We got staff out there that's now got an hour and a half to fiddle around and twiddle their thumbs, I guess, because
Oh, don't worry, we'll fill the time.
some of them be going home at 5, I'm
I think
sure,
they'd like to come up
unless they
here.
wanna hang around.
Hang
You're not
around.
twirling your thumb.
Okay,
Mayor, yes, you would need to recess because there is food for council, and so to prevent you from getting a nasty surprise at tax time,
So that's what
we
I'm
ask you to
sorry.
recess, and then once you have food, you'll adjourn.
okay.
As you
We'll
used to do back in March of 2020.
Oh, yeah,
Long,
okay.
forget.
We will recess and convene again at 6 o'clock.
I know it ain't gonna take very long.
You look at the agenda, if you take 10 minutes, just come in at 5.